I am Aryan Madan, tutor at transformingspaces.in. In today's lecture, we'll be looking at basic principles of designing. Now, in the previous lecture, we looked at these principles in brief, but right now we are going to look at these principles in detail. Why I'm saying principles of designing again and again and not principles of interior designing is because these principles are general in nature. Okay, I think I have to adjust my camera so that I can move closer to the mic. Be a little loud. Alright. So, am I audible now? Is it okay? Hello? Okay. Why I am saying principles of designing again and again and not principles of interior designing is because these principles are general in nature, like they are universally applicable on all kinds of designing, not just only interior designing, whether it be some kind of product or creative artwork or you're designing a building. These principles will be applicable on each one of them. Now when you know these principles, you can transform any space to look fabulous. But something I don't agree with is that some people believe that these principles are universal truths. I agree with that, but these don't need to be applied on each and every design to make it presentable. Because if we look at our history, even when these principles were not written down, when these principles were not taught, the architects and designers which used to create monuments, or they are monuments now, but buildings back then, they did a great work actually. So we don't actually necessarily need these principles, but if you do use these principles, your design will look 100% better. It's a feeling, when you walk into a room, you appreciate it, alright, that it is a well-defined, well-designed room. You get a feeling of completeness, right? You don't want your client to walk into your room or see your design and he doesn't have a clue where to look at, alright? So there must be a sense of completeness, that as soon as the person enters, either there is one point of interest that he looks at, or he glances at the whole room, like he moves his head from left to right, so that he can appreciate what it actually is. Alright, that is really important. If you don't use these principles, even then you have to take care of this thing, that you make your interior presentable. When you walk into a well-designed room that has been made using these principles, you get a feeling that everything is cohesive and put together. Like there is in my room, for example, if I place a painting right here, it won't work, alright? That is a thing you have to keep in mind, that there are no random things here and there. Now ultimately these principles, the practical application of these principles will get perfect with practice and experimentation only. We are going to get to the principles, of course, but I will show you something. I have some plain sheets which I'll be using to give examples, of course, and I have also brought in some permanent markers. We are gonna change the angle of the camera real quick, but before that I think there is a question, so I'll look into that. Okay, which bricks are best for foundation work? Alright, bricks, basically bricks are in Indian markets, in Indian masonry. If we talk about Indian masonry, there are clay bricks, fly ash bricks, AAC blocks, and modular bricks. The question is about foundation work. Alright, if we talk about foundation, I think the best thing, the best brick will be modular brick, because the water retention capacity of modular bricks is very low. So if we use these bricks to lay the foundation, in the later on years, when afterwards after building, there won't be any kind of problem, of course. But the other bricks, clay bricks, AAC blocks, mainly clay bricks, burnt, unburnt, it doesn't matter, has been, will be, and are currently being used to lay foundation as well as to build the buildings. So that is a thing that is extensively used. So we should keep that in mind, of course, that we should also look into the practicality, because they are pretty cheap. So the modular bricks, which are they are recommended by the government that you use them to lay the foundation. So I think this information basically is sufficient enough for this question. So I'll just do a little bit of changes into my apparatus so that I can all right. Okay. So I hope I am completely audible, and this, I think it would be visible. I'll just zoom out a little bit. Alright, so basically principles of design. So if we talk about principles, the first one will be, I'll just write it here and move away so that you can see. The first one is balance. Alright, so in any step of this live lecture, if you want to take any screenshot or just ask anything, you can drop down the question or you can take any screenshot you want. Now in design, balance basically creates a feeling of equilibrium. So what's a new thing here is something called visual weight of objects. So please everyone keep telling me if I am not audible. I'll just reshift my microphone position so that no one is uncomfortable. So I was talking about something called visual weight of objects. So I will get to that in a minute. Firstly, balance can be categorized into three subparts. Basically it's symmetrical. I won't write the full thing because we are short in time. Also we have to do this lecture in Hindi. And radial. Symmetrical, asymmetrical and radial balance, as you can see. Is it visible? Okay, alright. So symmetrical balance. Symmetrical balance is basically demanded in formal spaces and formal places as well. So where the space is evenly split into two sides so that they mirror each other. Like if you go into some kind of fancy restaurants, you go into hotels, 5-star hotels, dinings, there it is mostly seen. So I'll just draw something to give an example. It might be a little out of place, a little out of symmetry, but you will get the point. Alright, so if I look at this one, it doesn't look balanced. This is a table I have made. It is not looking that good because I'm using a permanent marker and I'm not accustomed to it. So this is a table, this is a chair. This doesn't look balanced. So what we will do in symmetrical balancing is we will add a chair here as well. So now okay. So if we split this thing into two parts, two sides, so this thing is totally balanced to this one. Alright, you get the point. So this is basically symmetrically balancing things. Now I will give another example so that it is more clear, and you can also know what kind of balancing is demanded in interior. So I am making a dressing table here. Again, this permanent marker is not doing justice to the drawing, but I hope you get the point. So this is a dressing table. Now if I have to make a hanging cupboard here, like this. Now this is a cupboard. This whole view, if this is a wall of your room, this whole thing looks totally imbalanced. So if we have to balance this thing, what we will do is the same width, the same height. Alright, it might be not straight, but I hope you get the point. So if we divide this thing, this wall, into two parts, these two areas are totally symmetrical. Okay, alright. So this was about symmetrical balancing. So I think that would be enough for symmetrical. Now we'll get to asymmetrical balancing. I will just draw a line here so that afterwards if you take a screenshot it will be easier for you to comprehend. This I am making a cupboard for a wall. So in asymmetrical balancing, basically to balance something asymmetrically, visual weights of those things are balanced without duplication. So like this one, we cannot duplicate things. So what I'm gonna do here, and also I will explain visual weight right now after this thing. So what I will do is divide this part into two two doors of the cupboard. I'm not getting the exact word here. So this as well looks completely balanced because the visual weight got divided into two, and the total visual weight of these two is equal to the total weight of this one part. Alright, so visual weight, again, this was example of asymmetrical. Okay, so now I will talk about visual weight. Where do I write? Okay, I will write here visual weight. Alright, so what visual weight is basically is, so if we have this block, so this is applicable in every kind of fields, not only interior designing. You can use these things in art also. So if we divide it into two parts and I draw a circle here, now this thing looks imbalanced. Alright, this thing has more visual weight, this is void of visual weight. So what I will do to symmetrically balance it is I'll make a duplicate circle around here as well. So now this thing looks better, this thing looks balanced, symmetrically balanced using visual weights. Alright, so it is not always possible to balance things like this by duplicating. So if we draw something here, I won't divide firstly, because so that because these divisions are hypothetical, these I have made, these are not actually present. So what we did here, alright, we are going to do here. So one visual weight of one big circle balanced by visual weight of two circles. Alright, if we divide it, we'll see that these two sides are totally balanced. So that is how you can asymmetrically balance the visual weight. Now coming to the third part, radial balancing. I think I'll have to put my phone on charging using a power bank because the battery is getting low. Bear with me just a second. Alright, so now radial balance. So a radial balance is achieved when there is a central focal point with other elements radiating that central focal point. So I think I should use another pen, because too much black, it is getting difficult to understand. Alright, so I'm gonna make a top view of a dining table, circle, round dining table. So it's not an accurate circle, of course, but if we put a chair here, chair here, chair here, and chair here, alright, this geometry looks totally imbalanced. So what we are gonna do in to balance it radially. Okay, so we are gonna complete putting all the chairs here, and now it looks good, it looks acceptable. My drawing doesn't look good, I know that, but the model that you will draw will look acceptable. So of course this is the top view. I will write here for people who are gonna take screenshots. Alright, now this is asymmetrical, this is symmetrical, and this is radial. I hope everything is clear, audible, and visible. I would like to know. Please drop down in the comments. Alright, I'm just adjusting my sheets. Here we go. Sir, what is biophilic design? Okay, biophilic design, okay, I'll get to that. Afterwards I will get to the second principle. So biophilic design, or art of biophilia. Biophilia is basically a relationship between humans and nature. So if you talk about biophilic design, what it does is, if we add things like the element, basically the elements of nature into our model, into our interior design, that is biophilic design, so that there is a constant interaction with nature. So I will write some points down if I have a little space, because this is really a good question. Very few people ask questions like this. Biophilic designing. So I will give you some examples how you can achieve biophilic design. Firstly, fresh air. Today most of the designs make the houses, make the interior completely. I think I should turn it into the front camera. Alright, so most of today's designs, what they do is make the houses, make the interiors completely compact, and very less air is fresh air is the flow of fresh air is very less. So there should be complete flow of fresh air, of course. The second thing is sunlight. Sunlight is very important in foreign buildings. As you can see, there are wide window panes, so that there is continuous sunlight, and buildings are designed according to that only, that most of the hours of the day the sunlight is there. I will also write sunlight here, so that afterwards if someone wants to take a screenshot. Sunlight, fresh air, plants, you can add plants also. I will write it down, wait, I will shift the camera back. Okay, so plants, textures, or what do we call them, rocks. So if you are adding some textures to your walls, or adding some blocks of rocks, or something like tiles, you are adding tiles, so make it so that it looks really real. So that is a thing. And one of the best thing that I like is biophilic. Okay, earlier I talked about 4 elements, adding 4 elements of nature. So 4 elements are air. Write fast, I want answers. Tell me the four elements of nature, so that it becomes interactive as well. Come on, there are 9 people watching. I want 4 elements of nature. Anyone? Don't think that I don't know them. I know them. I want answers from you so that I can make it interactive. If I don't get an answer in 10 seconds, I will answer it. Okay, someone has sent fire. All right, fire, air. So one thing that you have mentioned here is fire. So fire is not usually, today's trend. Earlier what was done was fireplaces were built inside the houses, so that also became a point of that became an anchor point, so that everyone who walks into the room, firstly his eyes were straight up focused on that anchor point being fireplace. So we cannot incorporate fireplaces anymore. They are just built for aesthetic purposes. If your client wants something like that, you can always do that. So sand, Debushri, okay, sand, that is earth basically. Earth, fire, water and air. Alright, air, we have talked about air, fresh air. Sunlight, it is also important. Plants, textures and rock, which is earth. And one thing, water, so we have to add water as well. So running water, the sound of running water brings in positive vibes and also makes you relaxed. So this effect can be achieved by fountains. There can be fountains in the porches as well. There can be fountains on the entrances. But if your client or you don't want to spend that much or don't have that much space, or you are living in an apartment and don't have an entrance, basically what you're going to do is buy smaller fountains that are available in the market. Fountains being what fountains being, that is something, it is made out of dried clay, and there is some kind of monument over it, and it is plugged into the board, and then afterwards the water flows. So that is basically a good way to add running water. So that was it for this question. I guess we have spent too much time. What time it is? It's 56 already. So I guess we'll have to postpone a little the Hindi lecture. We have to cover these principles, of course, but I will do it faster now. So emphasis. Alright. The second principle is emphasis. So a room where everything gets equal importance will seem either scattered or boring. So we need a point of interest or an anchor point. Like I told you about the fireplace, that it becomes an anchor point. As soon as someone enters the room, he glances in the surrounding, and as soon as he enters, he totally looks at the fireplace. So that is a thing which basically specifies emphasis. This won't be too much to explain, because the balance part was the most important and lengthiest part. Alright, this you can call it a wall, or you can call it a normal drawing. So this basically looks scattered and totally I'm not interested in this one. I will move past it without even looking at it. But if I make something like this, this totally becomes, this A is an emphasis point right now. Alright, so this is all about emphasis. I don't think it will need more explanation. Now the next one is movement. So one really good example of movement is, which I actually witnessed in a hotel I visited. These are stairs. In the first one there are actually, I will leave some space. These are stairs. This is a staircase. So what normally happens is that railing is like this one, straight railing, nothing too fancy. But what the designer of that hotel did was, he designed the railing like this, flowing. and it was really well designed. It was having a really great grip, of course, and it looked like it was giving a movement to this whole staircase. So this is basically movement. We don't need anything else to explain this one. Pattern. So I will describe pattern again. I am making a brick wall here, alright. Does this look good? You can tell me yourself, reply fast. Does this look good? No, it looks like a jail. But again, 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. This looks like a legit brick wall. Alright, there is a pattern to it. This is not just simply placed bricks, and if you place, you can even use tiles like this one, but if you are actually placing bricks like this gives the wall more tensile strength than this one. Okay, so can we explain on the back side? Yes, we can. So if anyone wants to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. Please do it fast because we are running out of time. We also have to do the same lecture in Hindi. Alright. So, okay. So, we'll talk about repetition here. Repetition. So, I want to give example by using the camera. Alright, look at this wall. It is made up of PVC panels, of course. There is one here and repeated here, repeated. So this is basically repetition. It gives a sense of repeating. Alright, so this was basically repetition. I can write wall here so that if you take screenshot, you remember that you saw this one in the lecture, and you it quickly strikes your mind. Alright, so the next one is proportion. We are not left with much principles, so we'll do this quick. Proportion. Alright, please make your guesses what I'm drawing here. Even if not, it's okay, it's a lecture, it's not a quiz. So I have drawn a bed. Doesn't look that good, but alright, you can. If I make a side table of this size and again the same size here, it completely looks out of proportion. It doesn't look good. Alright, but if I make the same thing again, this is a bed again, and proportion to this line, okay, so that it looks in place as well. So like this. Now this one looks way better than this one. Alright, so this is basically the example of proportion. So if anyone wants to take a screenshot, be quick, and then I will change the sheet. Before you take the screenshot, I want to know which two principles are used here. Okay, one is proportion. I'll use a red pen. One is proportion that is being used here. One more principle I want quickly tell me which principle is used here. Two principles, one is proportion, another you can tell me. Come on, I want fast answer. Until then I will manage my sheets. Scale, symmetrical balance. Devashri, yes, you are completely right. Symmetrical balance. Scaling also, it is a right answer. these two are symmetrically balanced, all right, and also they are according to scale. So that was also right, but scale which we haven't covered yet, so I'll get to scale right now. That was the next thing, of course, scale. All right, so if we talk about scale, the earlier example gave an explanation, of course, but I will also give an example according to the art perspective. So these two things, this is a pot and this is a glass. These two are in scale, all right, but and it looks good because it looks real. If I make a glass this long, just tell me which one looks better. According to me, the left one is way better, and it makes sense, of course. So all right, so that was about scale. I will put a cross here and a tick here so that anyone who takes a screenshot knows what I'm talking about. Now we'll talk about rhythm. So rhythm is basically not something that you have to take into consideration, but we can establish rhythm by using a color in a pillow, and the same color in the painting above the bed, and the same color in the curtain. So if I make a house here, sorry, a room here. So these are three walls of the room. So if here there is a painting, and here there is a carpet, here there is a window, and here it is a door. So if I want to give color to these objects, what I will do is brown, 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 so that there is a rhythm. I can't, and also the walls, I will keep this one any color you want. I think what color should I do? We go with light brown, because something I'm not getting anything right now. Light brown, light brown. Okay, the floor you can keep according to your client's wish or your wish, but there must be a rhythm between these objects. There must be a sense of that everything is giving a same message, everything is collecting. That message must be there, so that a rhythm is established. If you talk about music, anyone who is a vocalist or makes music, he knows that music is like this. Even the heartbeat, the rhythm of heart is like this. So this, we'll name it 1 2 1 2 1. So if we talk about it, the wall becomes 1, this becomes 2, the wall becomes 1, this becomes 2, the wall becomes 1, this becomes 2, the ground becomes 1, this becomes 2. Alright, so that is dark brown and light brown. Yes, of course, we can use whatever color we want, or our client wants, something that looks presentable. The last one, harmony. I should have just used the previous sheet. Harmony. So when different elements act together to create a unified message, that is basically harmony. So I remember seeing a mall, going to a mall. What this basically is, the first floor, and there was a pillar around here, there was a pillar around here, pillar around here, and a pillar around here. Okay, and the color of all this was white, the floor was white, and the tables which were placed here, the counters which were placed here, were black. So if we look at it in this angle, we get a feeling that everything is giving a unified message. Now if I make something like this, again I'm drawing the same thing, I'll draw quickly so it won't be. Alright, these two pillars of the bottom, and if I make a pillar here, this doesn't give a unified message. This is disrupting the harmony. All right, so that is basically harmony. You can think of other examples as well, like all right, this one, and this one. These are 4 circles. I will draw another circle here, another circle here, another circle here, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. Now 1 2 3, 3 into 4, 12 circles. 12 circles, basically what are they creating? A unified message, which is this shape. All right, you got that? So if anyone wants to take a screenshot, they can take a screenshot. I have got a question in my DM. All right, it is saying, all right, it is saying, sir, I cannot write the question in the live stream, please answer. Okay, what is the question? Sharma Om. What kind of steel bars are used where there is dampness? Alright, so the steel bars which can be used where there is basically a problem of dampness, there are epoxy coated steel bars. They are the cost will be around 40,000 or more per metric ton. It was 40,000 or 4 lakhs, I don't remember. You can Google it. Epoxy coated steel bars, they are available everywhere, and these bars do not rust. They are not non-rusting in nature, and because they have a coating of epoxy, that is why they are completely safe to use. And I think that would answer your question. And it's 1:10 already. We have to start the Hindi lecture as well. I'll take a quick break, and if anyone wants to watch the same lecture in Hindi, or if someone wants to watch the lecture in Hindi only, you can join in about 5 minutes. So I'll see you there. I am Aryan Mudan signing off, Transforming Spaces. Bye.